Commander is such a deep and complex game that challenges you every step of the way, from playing to deck building. And today we are highlighting a set of very special cards. They may involve playing patterns that are extremely complex or decisions that teach us some of the fundamentals of the game. This is Jin with Next Level Commander, and today I bring you 8 cards that turn us into better EDH players. To start things off, I want to say that we are not including tutors, except one really special one, yes. Well, they're difficult to play, definitely, because they involve massive decision trees, but if I did that, the list would be full of tutors. We want something different, and every card kind of covers a different aspect of playing the game. So, if you play all 8 cards, master them, and you will become an all-rounded EDH player. Yes, this is a guarantee. Well, let's start. Kind of popular. War Room. Yeah, this is a card that everyone knows about, but playing it well does require a little bit of contemplation. It teaches us 2 things. First, the importance of mana sinks. EDH is an intricate game where oftentimes we just do nothing. Well, in this case, having something like War Room at our disposal can be the difference maker. Another is what I call the allure of card draw. I find that oftentimes when I'm under pressure, I tend to way overestimate the possibility of drawing a few cards and getting the perfect answer from that. So then, instead of making a perfectly reasonable play with what I have in hand, I'd fire off a draw spell and mess up the tempo of my turn, and ending up pretty much wasting a turn not being able to defend ourselves. So yeah, draw spells are good, but in a pinch, you should rather rely on what you currently have than the unknown. Play with what you have and reload when you have a moment to breathe. That should be common sense, right? Anyways, so War Room is the kind of card that is good under very specific circumstances, and it can be one of the best utility lands in your deck if you learn to find the right timing. Next up, Dress Down. And I'm not talking about learning all the rules for the potential interactions, although that also be quite impressive. But here I'm talking about patience. With Dress Down, timing is everything. Drop this to counter a powerful ETB ability, or wait to potentially counter multiples. Or do we wait for a board wipe to shut off dying triggers? Or perhaps take out an indestructible creature? Also, if you anticipate a combo in the horizon, maybe hold, because this will most likely shut it down for a turn. Waiting for the right timing instead of being trigger happy is something we must learn with any answer card in Commander. But Dress Down actually has another layer of complexity, being a cantrip. And like any answer card that also cantrips, there will be times when you wonder if you should just cycle it for another card. And the rule of thumb is, if you have to ask, the answer is probably yes. Like when you're trying to hit your 5th land drop. You're in blue, you need your lands. Cards are easy to come by, and for cantrips, once you decided to use it, the earlier the better. So, between ultimate patience to wait out the blowout of the century, or being pragmatic and just digging yourselves closer to another land, the range here is massive, and trying to play this card optimally will teach us a lot about control and playing our answers better. And in a similar vein, 3 steps ahead, and pretty much any modal spell. But these spree ones are the best for teaching us modal spells, because they're just so efficient and playable with almost whatever combination you choose. When you put these spells into the deck, you generally envision a default mode, like a one-sided board wipe with Final Showdown, making 5 copies of something, and win the game on the spot with Right of Replication, and doing literally everything with 3 steps ahead. But the reality is there will be times when you just need to copy something once, right now, or just to dig 2 cards deep. And we need to figure out when those times are and just go for it. We need to free ourselves of that default mode and understand that modal cards are powerful because of the flexibility. And they're only at their best if we can find the right situation for every mode. Next up is a bit of a hidden gem, Manascape Refractor. In just 8,000 decks, but holy, this is a mana rock. With the amount of insane utility lands being printed today, Manascape Refractor not only allows us to borrow their abilities, but more importantly, it trains us to be aware of what's lurking around in the seemingly innocent resource pools that people are stacking together. Now, constantly keeping track is impossible, but just being somewhat aware, having it register, like a ding, a little, when someone plays a Scavenger's Ground, can make all the difference. And this awareness is something invaluable to have with or without the Refractor. Next up, I know I said no tutors, but again, this one is really special, because even compared to your average tutor, this card just has so much more play. Court of Calling. Being able to potentially get any creature from your deck into play at instant speed while tapped out. Your opponents not expecting it will give you the chance for the biggest blowouts, and it's up to you to engineer it. Knowing every available creature in your deck and how it interacts with the current board state or stack isn't just helpful for this particular spell, it's an important skill to have for every player who plays a deck with Chord of Calling. And moving on to something with a bit more spice, Catastrophe. Now this card I did highlight in my previous video about mass land destruction, but it absolutely fits here as a gateway to land destruction. Being Modo, this card will be a board wipe 80-90% of the time, but once in a while you will find a window where casting this with the nuclear option straight up wins you the game. And finding that window will require the ability to read the board and your opponent's potential responses. Important to note though, when in doubt, just use it as a board wipe. Only boom the lens if you're close to 100% sure that it will lead to game-winning advantage. Now, of course, you can't play around everything in Commander, but there are definitely ways to up your chances. Like if you suspect someone holding a removal against your Avacyn, send your Avacyn in for an attack first to test the waters. And just by having the nuclear option, this card teaches us to better read the game and our opponents, while we stay vigilant, waiting for that legendary window. Next up, Valakut Awakening. Now this is the card that teaches us to play MDFCs. The front side is incredibly strong, allowing us to do a potential mulligan, which might get us another land to replace it. But like we mentioned earlier, the potential of new cards is always tempting, but there will be times when playing this as a land is correct. And that involves properly assessing what the average draw from your deck looks like. No, Valakut Awakening most likely will not dig you into the best card you need right now. Being able to objectively assess your hand versus what you may potentially draw is a very useful skill when playing red, with wheels still being some of the most powerful cards in your color pie. And finally, a personal favorite, Winding Canyons. An all-star utility land that should be in more decks, and it's really cheap for what it is. It's on the reserved list. Flash is just such a powerful utility that is not just for creatures. Even in spell-heavy decks with a powerful commander, keep the choice open between plopping down your commander or using your mana to answer something can make a huge difference. Playing at instant speed has the potential for massive plays, and it keeps you focused for the entirety of the game, thinking with every play your opponents make, looking for the right time to pull the trigger, and that over time will definitely make you a better player. And there you have it, 8 cards that are like mini games on their own. They may seem difficult to master at first, but will take your gameplay up a level if you stick with them. This is Jin with Next Level Commander. Please leave in the comments what other cards you know also fall into this category. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.